Welcome to Trending Update USA. I am Steffan, and today we dive deep into one of the most talked about showdowns at the WTA Finals, a battle that brought tension, brilliance, and pure competitive electricity. Nick Kyrgios, former coach, a man known for his brutally honest, sharp-edged breakdowns of elite tennis, has stepped forward with a bold claim. Elena Rybakina did something truly extraordinary against Aryna Sabalenka on one of the biggest stages of the season. His words have now stirred analysis, debate, and speculation across the tennis world, because when someone who has worked intimately with one of tennis' biggest talents chooses to spotlight a performance, the sporting community listens. And this time, he insists Rybakina produced a tactical and mental masterclass that went far beyond simple shot-making. The WTA Finals always bring pressure that even seasoned players feel in their bones. It's the last major battleground of the year, a tournament where nerves can overpower form and where champions are often separated by nothing more than a handful of points. Sabalenka, known for her explosive power and relentless aggression, walked into the match with confidence, fully aware that her brand of imposing tennis has overwhelmed countless opponents. But Elena Rybakina, calm, composed, and deceptively understated in her emotions, entered with a different kind of energy, an aura of someone who had made up her mind to rise above the noise. Nick Kyrgios, ex-coach, began his praise by highlighting the most critical aspect of Rybakina's performance: her composure. He emphasized that anyone who has witnessed high-pressure tennis understands how rare it is to see a player remain unmoved, unreadable, and ice-cold against someone as fiery and intimidating as Sabalenka. According to him, Rybakina showed emotional stamina that was nothing short of extraordinary, a quality that separated her from nearly every other player in the draw. While Sabalenka powered up, screamed after points, and pumped her fists with familiar intensity, Rybakina stayed silent, steady, and centered, refusing to allow her rhythm to be hijacked. As the match unfolded, the statistical numbers told only half the story. Yes, Rybakina served well, but what made the performance exceptional was how she mixed speeds, changed direction, and strategically disrupted Sabalenka's timing. Kyrgios' former coach pointed out that Rybakina didn't simply rely on her powerful first serve but also manipulated spin, placement, and body serve angles to neutralize one of the best returners in the world. She took away Sabalenka's biggest strength, her ability to dictate early in the rally. And once that happened, the match dynamic flipped. Observers noticed something more subtle too. Rybakina's decision-making appeared sharper than ever. Instead of engaging in extended power exchanges, she picked her moments. When Sabalenka blasted cross-court, Rybakina redirected down the line with laser-like precision. When Sabalenka went for the big return, Rybakina anticipated, stepped forward, and countered with a depth that forced immediate defensive responses. Kyrgios' ex-coach described these patterns as tennis IQ functioning at its peak, stressing that this type of strategic reading is what separates good players from great ones. But he didn't stop there. In fact, his biggest praise came when he addressed the mental chess match that played out beneath the rallies. According to him, Sabalenka thrives when she senses emotional cracks in her opponent. The moment she perceives frustration or doubt, she amplifies her aggression and steamrolls momentum. But Rybakina refused to give her that psychological opening. She stayed expressionless even when she missed chances, even when Sabalenka hit unstoppable winners. This emotional steadiness, he claimed, was extraordinary, because it directly countered the intimidation-based rhythm that often fuels Sabalenka. He highlighted one particular moment, midway through the second set, when Sabalenka raised her level and tried to turn the match into a test of raw power. She yelled, she fist-pumped, she stared across the net trying to generate emotional dominance. Yet Rybakina's demeanor remained unchanged. She walked to the baseline, bounced the ball, and served with the same calm precision. Kyrgios' ex-coach insisted this was the turning point, because Sabalenka realized she was not going to break Rybakina mentally. And once Sabalenka understood that, her own game began to fluctuate. He praised Rybakina's footwork too, an area often overlooked because of her easy power. He explained that much of Rybakina's improvement came from her ability to move with lighter steps, quicker recovery patterns, and more efficient court coverage. Against Sabalenka, these improvements were crucial. Sabalenka's heavy hitting demands fast positioning, and Rybakina repeatedly absorbed that pace and turned defense into offense with just a few steps. According to the coach, this was another extraordinary element. Rybakina was not just surviving rallies, she was controlling them with surgical movement. Another key factor he discussed was Rybakina's growing confidence in big moments. He mentioned that while Rybakina has always been known as calm, she hasn't always been consistently clutch. But against Sabalenka, she was unshakable. Break points? She erased them with gutsy first serves. Pressure moments? She chose aggression instead of passivity. In one crucial game deep in the second set, Rybakina struck back-to-back winners to hold serve despite Sabalenka throwing everything at her. Kyrgios' former coach said that this type of fearless execution under suffocating pressure is what makes champions of the sport. He also compared this match to some of Kyrgios' greatest performances, noting that both Kyrgios and Rybakina share one rare quality. When they lock in, their natural ball striking becomes unplayable. But whereas Kyrgios often wears his emotions openly, Rybakina turns her focus inward, creating a quiet but devastating storm. The coach said that the contrast between their emotional styles made Rybakina's performance even more impressive. She demonstrated mastery without external noise, without theatrics, and without relying on adrenaline. Her strength came from calm precision. He even mentioned that Sabalenka's power, which often produces quick winners, suddenly became less damaging because Rybakina adapted her return stance, adjusted her spacing, and reacted earlier. According to him, these are adjustments you typically see from players with years of experience, not ones still refining their peak potential. He said that Rybakina's ability to shift mid-match, to solve Sabalenka's tactical puzzles in real time, was extraordinary in its own right. As the tennis world reacted to his comments, fan debates erupted. Many agreed wholeheartedly, praising Rybakina's brilliance. Others argued Sabalenka had an off day. But Kyrgios' former coach stood firm, insisting that the match wasn't about Sabalenka's mistakes but about Rybakina's intelligent and composed dismantling of the match rhythm. He highlighted that Sabalenka didn't collapse, she was pushed into discomfort. She didn't lose focus, she was forced to play at uncomfortable positions on the court. And she didn't choose wrong shots, she was outthought in critical phases. He further reflected on the broader implications of the match. According to him, Rybakina is entering a new phase of her career, one where she is beginning to understand how to consistently weaponize her mentality alongside her physical strength. He predicted that if she continues evolving in this direction, she will eventually become one of the most dominant forces in women's tennis. He even suggested that the Sabalenka match may be remembered as the moment Rybakina fully embraced her identity as a strategic and psychological powerhouse. Drawing parallels to modern champions, he compared Rybakina's transformation to the growth trajectories of players like Novak Djokovic and Iga Swiatek, athletes who found ways to balance power with discipline, emotion with clarity, and talent with resilience. He argued that Rybakina's performance mirrored these qualities, especially in how she handled adversity. Every time Sabalenka raised the stakes, Rybakina answered with quiet, calculated confidence. But he was most impressed by Rybakina's emotional maturity. Tennis is a sport of momentum, and momentum often shifts with emotional fluctuations. Sabalenka is a master of creating storms, she thrives in fiery atmospheres. Yet Rybakina refused to step into that storm. She stayed on her island of calm, forcing Sabalenka to come to her terms, not the other way around. Kyrgios' ex-coach called this extraordinary emotional leadership, something he believes only a handful of players in the world possess. He ended his analysis with a powerful statement that Elena Rybakina defeated Aryna Sabalenka not just with her racket, not just with her serve, but with her mind. And that, he said, is what made the performance one of the most compelling displays of athletic intelligence seen at the WTA Finals in years. As the tennis world continues to debate his comments, what remains undeniable is that Rybakina delivered a performance that has forced analysts, coaches, and fans to reevaluate her ceiling. Was it extraordinary? To many, yes. To Kyrgios' former coach, absolutely. And as the season progresses, all eyes will be on Rybakina to see whether this match becomes a defining spark, a moment we look back on as the beginning of her next big evolution. This is Steffan from Trending Update USA, bringing you every angle, every analysis, and every storyline from the world of tennis. And if this extraordinary performance is any indication, the next chapter for Elena Rybakina may be even more spectacular.